2025, Port Everglades, Florida. U.S. intelligence has traced the shadow of the Black Gun Network, a criminal empire hiding inside America's own supply chain. Beneath the cranes and dock lights, that network moved over 2,500 rifle kits, 12 million rounds of ammunition, and nearly $200 million in laundered cash through Florida ports, firepower enough to arm a small nation. Every container stamped marine equipment was, in truth, a shipment of death bound for the southern border and the cartels waiting beyond it. This is not petty smuggling. It is an industrial-scale trafficking operation that replenishes cartel armies month after month in Texas. Now 300 federal agents and Navy SEALs are mobilized. Their mission? Crush the network before dawn, or watch it spread beyond control. Will this operation succeed in dismantling the criminal machine before it metastasizes into something even worse? Or will the Black Gun Network reach farther, across borders and into other nations? Join me as we uncover the truth. October 3rd, 2025, 04:20 a.m., Port Everglades, Broward County, Florida. The port wakes in whispers. Cranes creak, horn blasts drift across dark water, and a line of steel containers sits under sodium lights like sleeping beasts. In a nondescript warehouse off the service road, men clock in as if they run a legitimate marine fittings business. They do not. This is the factory floor where parts become instruments of death. For months, investigators have tracked a pattern that looks ordinary on paper but lethal in practice. Inside each sealed container are roughly 2,500 component kits, barrels, bolt carriers, triggers, and serialized-looking parts. One container yields enough parts to assemble 1,200 combat rifles in a single week. Multiply that by 3 containers moved per week and the math becomes brutal. 3,600 rifles a week, 15,600 a month, over 180,000 weapons a year that can flood streets and battlefields. The network calls itself the Garrison Shield Network, a bland name that masks violence. Corporate invoices list marine hardware bank transfers, show round numbers wired to shell companies. Behind the paperwork, cash drops whisper in hotel rooms. Investigators traced at least $180 million per quarter through a web of accounts, enough to finance dozens of smuggling runs, fuel caches, and payoffs to compromised officials. From the key, a routine manifest points to a second act. Containers sail under legitimate flags, rendezvous with small freighters 60 nautical miles offshore, then transfer to unregistered skiffs, 7 skiffs per convoy, that slip into coastal coves at night. From those coves, the cargo moves overland, dirt roads, hidden trailers, then south across bridges into Tamaulipas and cartel veins. This was no spontaneous crime. This was industrialized arms trafficking, designed, audited, and scalable. Port Everglades was the key point. Production, concealment, transportation, transfer. Cut the key point and you paralyze the whole machine. Investigators stared at the manifests and asked quietly, with the same cold certainty they carried into every operation, how many lives would be changed if the next 3 containers arrived? From October 7th to October 9th, 2025. 2 days of silence, glowing screens, and sleepless analysts. Across the Gulf of Mexico, faint digital pulses told a story no one was supposed to hear. From Miami to Laredo, a joint task force of 300 agents, FBI, ICE, and Naval Intelligence, pieced together a network so vast it blurred the line between business and war. Each clue was small, a wire transfer here, a radar echo there. But by dawn on October 9th, the pattern became undeniable. 48 suspicious maritime transfers in 6 months. 12 cargo ships repeatedly shutting off their AIS trackers for exactly 42 minutes each time. Every blackout coincided with a ghost pickup, a smaller vessel appearing minutes later and heading toward the Texas coast. The data team calculated that a single convoy could move 3,600 rifle kits, enough to arm an entire cartel battalion every week. The money trail was even worse. IC traced 912 wire transfers through 34 shell companies stretching from Florida and Panama to Belize near the Mexican border. More than $180 million flowed every quarter, laundered through casinos, freight firms, and cryptocurrency wallets. One flagged account recorded $12.7 million in withdrawals over just 28 days, almost identical to the estimated street value of the smuggled weapons. At 2:47 a.m. on October 9th, a satellite captured the thermal signatures of 7 unregistered skiffs leaving a freighter 60 nautical miles offshore. At the same moment, FBI field agents in Laredo intercepted radio chatter, coded phrases for cargo ready and transfer green. Within minutes, the pieces locked into place. What had begun as numbers on screens had become a kill chain. The pipeline was active, fast, profitable, and protected. Commanders studied the data, exchanged one look, and sent a single encrypted word through the network. Execute. The silence of surveillance was over. The storm was about to begin. Can the U.S. crush the Black Gun network before it multiplies, or is this just the beginning? Share your view in the comments. 5:30 a.m., Northern Far, Texas. The word execute flashed across encrypted screens, and within seconds the quiet dawn turned violent. Engines roared, rotors thundered, boots hit the mud. In the heavy, humid air, 300 federal agents, Navy SEALs, and HSI operatives advanced toward the compound that had once been untouchable. What followed was not a raid. It was a full-scale assault. At 5:33, the first breach team cut through the perimeter fence. Muzzle flashes erupted from the warehouse windows, tracing orange lines through the fog. Within 30 seconds, 3 armored trucks burst from the back lot, mounted gunmen firing blindly. The SEALs answered with precision. 2 AT-4 rockets slammed into the lead vehicle, scattering flaming debris across the yard. The third truck veered off the road, its engine torn apart by .50 caliber rounds from a hovering Black Hawk. Inside the compound, chaos exploded. 70 cartel gunmen fought back with AK-47s, PKMS, and grenade launchers. The noise was deafening. Over 7,800 rounds fired in 15 minutes, tracer fire cutting through the fog like red lightning. One SEAL squad breached the East Warehouse, uncovering 1,200 rifles, 90,000 rounds of ammunition, and crates stamped with the insignia of 8 Mexican cartels. Another unit stormed the control building, finding $4.6 million in cash, encrypted ledgers, and manifests detailing 3 upcoming convoys bound for the border. At 5:47, the battle reached its climax. 2 Apache gunships swooped low, their cannons roaring. 240 rounds of 30mm fire shredded the last resistance. Towers crumbled, fuel drums ignited, and explosions rolled through the valley. The flames consumed the yard, painting the sky orange as operators moved through the wreckage, securing prisoners and clearing bunkers. By 6:10 a.m., it was over. 29 cartel gunmen lay dead, 38 captured alive, and dozens more fled into the brush. The ground was littered with wreckage, burning trucks, shattered crates, and rifles stacked in heaps. The combined seizure stunned even the commanders. 2,400 completed rifles, 1,800 unfinished kits, and $6.5 million in laundered cash recovered. Over the radio, the SEAL commander's voice broke through the static. Objective Alpha secure. The convoy routes were severed, the storage yard destroyed, and the network's spine broken. But as the smoke drifted east over the Rio Grande, one truth lingered among the commanders. This battle had severed one artery. The beast, though wounded, was far from dead. Stay with us. If you think the firefight was intense, wait until you see how deep the money trail goes.